They say snitches get stitches and end up in ditches. But I say sometimes snitching is the only way to save someone from ending up in a ditch themselves. My name is Marcus Johnson. I am 18 years old, and I am the one who called the DEA on my own father. Before you judge me, let me tell you about the night I found my 14-year-old brother cutting cocaine at our kitchen table, using the same scale my mother used to weigh flour for Sunday pancakes before she died. What the hell are you doing? I stood frozen in the doorway of our apartment, my McDonald's uniform still smelling like fryer grease, staring at my baby brother Jalen, hunched over the table with a playing card in his hand, separating white powder into small plastic bags. Dad said to have these ready before he gets back. Jalen said without looking up, focused on his task like it was homework. Put that down. Right now. I cannot. Dad said. I do not care what Dad said. Put it down. He finally looked up at me, and what I saw in his eyes broke my heart. Pride. He was proud to be helping Dad. Proud to be trusted with the family business. Proud to be following in the footsteps of Terrell Johnson, the biggest drug dealer on the east side of Detroit. That was the moment I knew I had to make a choice that would change everything. But to understand why I did what I did, you need to understand how we got here. How a straight-A student ended up weighing drugs at the same table where he used to do his algebra homework. My mother died when I was 12 and Jalen was 8. Cancer took her in 6 months, from diagnosis to funeral. She was the glue that held us together, the voice of reason that kept Dad's street life from completely consuming our home. When she was alive, Dad at least tried to keep his business away from us. He dealt with his drugs somewhere else, came home and pretended to be a regular father, helped with homework, came to basketball games, acted like the money that paid for everything was from his construction job that he never seemed to go to. But when Mama died, the boundaries died with her. First, it was just phone calls in the house, talking in code about shirts and shoes that everyone knew were not clothing. Then it was people stopping by at all hours, quick exchanges at the door that Jalen and I were supposed to ignore. Then it was Dad packaging drugs in his bedroom, door locked, music loud, pretending we did not know what the smell was. By the time I turned 16, our apartment was basically a trap house with homework on the counter and drugs in the cabinets. Dad did not even try to hide it anymore. Said we were old enough to understand that he was doing what he had to do to keep a roof over our heads, food on the table, clothes on our backs. Your mama's medical bills wiped us out, he would say. This is how we survive. But we were not surviving. We were drowning in his choices, suffocating in the reputation that followed us everywhere. Teachers looked at us different when they heard our last name. Kids at school either feared us or wanted to be us for all the wrong reasons. Parents did not let their children come to our house. We were the Johnson boys, sons of Terrell Johnson, and that meant we were either customers or competition, never just kids. I tried to protect Jalen from it. Kept him busy with sports, video games, anything to keep him from paying too much attention to what Dad was doing. I thought I was succeeding. He was smart, getting good grades, talking about wanting to be an engineer, building robots and computers from scratch. He had a chance to be different, to be better. But the streets have a way of seeping into your bones, especially when they live in your house. It started small. Jalen began wearing more expensive clothes, stuff I knew I did not buy him, and Dad claimed he did not either. When I asked where he got the money, he said he was fixing computers for people in the neighborhood. Maybe that was true at first. Maybe it started innocent. But innocence does not last long when your father is flooding the neighborhood with poison. Then came the changes in behavior. Jalen started hanging with older kids, guys who worked for Dad, guys who drove nice cars and carried guns and acted like they owned the world because they could destroy it. He started using Dad's slang, talking about moving work and getting paper like he was about something when he was just a 14-year-old who still slept with a nightlight because the dark reminded him of the night Mama died. I confronted Dad about it one night after Jalen went to bed. You need to keep him away from your business, I said. Dad was counting money at the kitchen table, rubber bands and cash everywhere. I am not involving him in nothing. His new friends work for you. I cannot control who he hangs with. You can tell them to stay away from him. He looked up from his money, eyes cold. The streets do not work like that, Marcus. If I show favoritism to my own son, I look weak. If I look weak, someone takes my spot. Someone takes my spot. We do not eat. We can eat without this. I will get a full-time job. I will drop out if I have to. And work where? McDonald's? Making minimum wage? You gonna pay for this apartment, utilities, food, Jalen's school supplies, clothes, everything on $7.25 an hour. At least it would be honest money. Honest money, he laughed. Your mama worked honest money her whole life. Know what it got her? Shit healthcare that let the cancer spread before they caught it. Shit insurance that did not cover half the treatments. Shit savings that disappeared in 2 months. Honest money killed your mother, Marcus. This dirty money is what tried to save her. This dirty money is going to kill Jalen. Jalen is smart. He will be fine. Smart does not make you bulletproof. Neither does being broke. That was always his argument. That the world was against us anyway, so we might as well take what we could get. That being poor and black in Detroit was a death sentence anyway, so we might as well die rich. That the system was rigged, so we might as well rig it in our favor. But I had seen where that logic led. I had been to too many funerals of guys who thought they were smart enough to beat the game. I had seen too many mothers crying over caskets of sons who were supposed to be different. I had watched too many brothers become strangers, then enemies, then memories. I was not going to let Jalen become a memory. The night I found him cutting cocaine was a Thursday in November. Dad was out, supposedly at a meeting with his supplier. I had just gotten off my shift at McDonald's, saving money for community college, trying to build something that was not made of my father's crimes. Jalen had everything laid out professional-like. Digital scale, bags, rubber gloves, a mask over his face, moving with precision like he had been doing this for years instead of what I hoped was the first time. How long? I asked. How long what? How long have you been doing this? Couple weeks. Dad is paying you? $50 a night. More than you make in a shift at McDonald's. He said it proud, like he was winning, like he had figured out something I was too stupid to understand. You know what this is, right? You know what you are helping put on the streets. It is just product, supply and demand. We learned about it in economics. This is not economics, Jalen. This is death. This kills people. People kill themselves. We just provide the option. He sounded just like Dad. Same words, same tone, same cold logic that turned human misery into math. What would Mama think? That stopped him. His hands paused over the scale. Mama is dead, he said quietly. She does not think anything anymore. She would be heartbroken. She would understand. Dad is doing this for us. Dad is doing this for himself. We are just his excuse. At least he is here. Most kids in our neighborhood do not even have that. Having a father in prison is worse than not having one at all. Dad is not going to prison. He is too smart. Everyone is too smart until they are not. I walked over to the table, started gathering up the drugs. Jalen grabbed my wrist. Do not touch that. Dad will kill me. Let him try. Marcus, please. I need this money. For what? To help out. To contribute. To not be a burden. You are 14. Your job is to go to school, not to become a drug dealer. I am not a dealer. I am just helping package. That is how it starts. First you are packaging. Then you are delivering. Then you are selling. Then you are in prison or dead. You are being dramatic. I am being realistic. I took the drugs to the bathroom and flushed them. Thousands of dollars of cocaine swirling down the toilet, while Jalen screamed at me about how Dad was going to kill us both. Let him try, I thought. At least we would die for something better than his empire of misery. Dad came home 3 hours later. Jalen had tried to clean up, make it look like nothing happened, but Dad knew. He always knew. Where is it? His voice was calm, which was worse than yelling. I flushed it, I said. You did what? I flushed it. Every gram. He moved so fast I did not see the punch coming. My head snapped back, blood immediately flowing from my nose. Jalen jumped between us. "Dad, stop. It was my fault. I messed up the count and Marcus was trying to fix it and—" "Do not lie for him," Dad said. "Marcus, that was $8,000 of product. I do not care if it was 8 million. You are not turning Jalen into you. I am giving him opportunity. You are giving him a prison sentence. I am teaching him to survive. You are teaching him to die young." Another punch, this one to my ribs. I doubled over but stayed on my feet. "You owe me $8,000, Dad said. "I do not care how you get it. I am not paying you anything. Then you can get out of my house." "Fine. And I am taking Jalen with me." "Like hell you are. Try to stop me." We stared at each other, father and son, more like enemies than family. Jalen was crying, begging us to stop, but we were past that. This had been building for years, since Mama died and Dad decided grief was an excuse to become a monster. "You take him, and I will find you," Dad said. "Both of you. You cannot run from me in this city." "I am not running. I am walking away. There is a difference. Not in my world. Your world is exactly what I am trying to save him from." That night, I packed our things while Dad was at the bar. Jalen did not want to leave, kept saying we were overreacting, that he could handle it, that Dad was not that bad. But I had heard those words before, from corner boys who ended up in body bags, from kids who thought they were different until they were not. We went to stay with Ms. Patricia, Mama's best friend who lived in Southfield, far enough from Dad's territory that we could breathe. She did not ask questions, just made up the couch and put blankets on the floor, told us we could stay as long as we needed. But Dad found us in 3 days. He did not come violent. He came smart, with groceries and apologies and promises to keep Jalen out of the business. Said he realized he had gone too far, that losing Mama had messed him up, that he wanted to do better. Jalen believed him. Kids always want to believe their parents can change. Hell, I wanted to believe it too. We went home. For a week, it seemed better. Dad kept the drugs out of the apartment, or at least out of sight. He did not have people coming by. He even came to Jalen's basketball game, sat in the stands like a regular father, cheered when his son scored. But the streets do not let you go that easy. The money was too good, the power too addictive, the life too deep in his veins. By week 2, the phone calls started again. By week 3, people were stopping by. By the end of the month, Jalen was back at that kitchen table with the scale. This time, I did not flush the drugs. This time, I did something worse. I documented everything. I bought a small camera online, the kind people use for home security, and hid it in the kitchen smoke detector. I took pictures of the drugs, the money, the guns Dad kept in his closet. I recorded license plates of everyone who came by. I noted times, dates, descriptions. I became a one-man surveillance unit in my own home. "What are you always writing?" Jalen asked one day, seeing my notebook. "Homework. School has been out for 2 hours. College prep. For what college? Any college that will take me away from here. And leave me." The hurt in his voice almost broke my resolve. "I am not leaving you. I am trying to save you." "From what?" "Dad. He is all we got. He is all we got because he made sure of that. He isolated us, made us dependent on him and his money. But there is more out there, Jalen. There is better. Better costs money we do not have. Better costs courage we do have. We just have to use it. I thought I had more time. I thought I could gather enough evidence to get Dad arrested without implicating Jalen, get my brother into foster care, or maybe with Ms. Patricia permanently. I thought I could control the situation. But the streets move fast, and sometimes they move toward you whether you are ready or not. It was a Friday night in December. I had picked up an extra shift at McDonald's, trying to save money for an apartment when I turned 18 in a month. The manager, Mr. Williams, was good to me, always gave me extra hours when I needed them, never asked why I always had bruises. I got home around 11 p.m. to find the apartment full of people. Not just the usual corner boys who worked for Dad, but older men, serious men, Men with the kind of energy that changes the temperature of a room. Dad was at the kitchen table with a man I recognized, but wished I did not. Jerome Ghost Patterson, one of the biggest suppliers in Detroit. The kind of man whose name you heard in whispers, whose presence meant your neighborhood was about to get a lot more dangerous. And sitting next to Dad, learning at the foot of the throne, was Jalen. "Marcus," Dad called out when he saw me. "Come here, son. Want you to meet someone." I walked over slowly, every instinct screaming at me to run. "This is my oldest," Dad said to Ghost. "Smart kid. Works at McDonald's, saving for college." Ghost looked me up and down like he was measuring me for a coffin. "The legitimate one, huh? Every family needs one." "Marcus is going to be somebody," Dad said, and for a moment he sounded proud. "Doctor, lawyer, something respectable." "And the young one?" Ghost nodded at Jalen. "He is learning the real business," Dad said. "Got good hands, steady nerves, quick with numbers." "How old?" 14. Good age to start. Young enough to learn, old enough to understand consequences. That is what I figure. They went back to their conversation, talking about expanding territory, increasing supply, taking over blocks that belonged to other crews. Jalen sat there absorbing it all, eyes wide with excitement and fear. I stood frozen, watching my baby brother get inducted into a world that would eat him alive. That is when I saw the guns on the coffee table. Not just Dad's usual pistol, but automatic weapons, the kind that turn neighborhoods into war zones. Ghost's men were armed too, bulges in their waistcoats that were not cell phones. "I need to talk to you," I whispered to Dad. "Later." "Now." He looked at me, saw something in my face. "Excuse me for a minute," he said to Ghost, then followed me to his bedroom. "What the hell is this?" I asked. "Business meeting. With Jalen there? He needs to learn. He needs to be in bed. It is a school night." "School," Dad laughed. "You think school is going to teach him how to survive out here? This is not survival. This is suicide. This is opportunity. Ghost does not meet with everyone. This could set us up for life. This could set us up for life in prison. You worry too much. You do not worry enough. I got this under control. You got automatic weapons in our living room and my 14-year-old brother learning how to be a kingpin. Nothing about this is under control. You do not understand. I understand that you are going to get him killed. I am going to make him rich. Same thing in this game, and you know it." He grabbed my throat, pushed me against the wall. "You need to remember who you are talking to." "My father," I choked out. "I am talking to my father who is supposed to protect us, not recruit us." He let me go. "I am protecting you the only way I know how. Then learn a new way. It is too late for that." He was right. It was too late, but not in the way he meant. I left the bedroom and went straight to mine, locked the door, and made the call I had been avoiding for months. The DEA tip line. My hands shook as I dialed. My voice cracked as I spoke. "I need to report drug activity," I said. "Can you provide an address?" I gave them our address. "Can you provide names?" I gave them Dad's name, Ghost's name, every name I had documented. "Are there weapons present?" "Yes." "Automatic weapons." "Are there minors in the home?" "Yes." "My 14-year-old brother." "Are you in immediate danger?" "Not immediate, but soon. They are planning something big." "Can you leave safely?" "Not without my brother." "We recommend." "I am not leaving him." There was a pause. "We will need more information. Can you come to our office?" "When?" "Tomorrow morning. Ask for Agent Sarah Mitchell." I agreed and hung up. Then I sat on my bed and cried. Not loud sobs, but silent tears, the kind that come when you realize you are about to destroy your own family to save it. The next morning, I told Dad I was picking up an early shift at work. Instead, I took the bus downtown to the federal building, went through metal detectors and security checks, and found myself sitting across from Agent Mitchell, a middle-aged white woman with kind eyes and a firm handshake. "You are very brave for coming here," she said. "I am not brave. I am desperate. Sometimes they are the same thing." I told her everything. About Dad's operation, about Ghost, about the guns, about Jalen being groomed to take over. I showed her my documentation, the photos, the notes, everything I had gathered. She listened without judgment, took notes, asked clarifying questions. "We have been watching your father for a while," she said, "but we have not been able to get close enough for solid evidence. Your information changes that. I want immunity for my brother. He is 14. He would not be charged anyway. I want it in writing. We can do that. And I want him placed with my mother's friend, Patricia Williams, not in foster care. We will need to involve Child Protective Services, but we can make recommendations. I want witness protection." She paused. "That is more complicated. We typically only offer that for cases involving cartels or major organized crime. Ghost is not major enough? He is significant, but not at that level. However, we can provide security during the trial and help with relocation after if needed. What about my father? Based on what you have shown me and what we already have, he is looking at 10 to 20 years federal time. 10 to 20 years. My father would miss the rest of Jalen's childhood, his graduation, maybe his wedding. He would come out an old man if he survived inside. When? I asked. When what? When will you arrest him? We need to coordinate with local law enforcement, get warrants, organize teams. Maybe a week. I cannot wait a week. Ghost is planning something. I heard them talking about taking over the west side, about sending a message to the other crews. People are going to die. She leaned forward. Can you get more specific information? Times, locations. Maybe. But it is dangerous. If they catch me, we do not want you to put yourself at risk. I am already at risk. My brother is at risk. Our whole neighborhood is at risk. Then help us stop it. I agreed to wear a wire. It was insane, suicidal even, but I could not let Ghost and my father turn our neighborhood into a battlefield. Agent Mitchell gave me a device that looked like a phone charger, showed me how to activate it, how to position myself for best audio, how to stay calm if things went bad. If you feel like you are in danger, say the word headache 3 times in conversation. We will have agents nearby. How nearby? Close enough. That was not reassuring, but it was all I had. That night, there was another meeting. This time at a warehouse Dad rented on the outskirts of town. He told me and Jalen to come with him. Why? I asked. Because you are my sons. Because Ghost wants to meet the whole family. Because I said so. The warehouse was full of men with guns, drugs packaged for distribution, money-counting machines working overtime. It was like a movie, except movies do not show the paranoia, the constant looking over shoulders, the way everyone's hand stays close to their weapon. Ghost was there with his top lieutenants, planning what they called the Christmas surprise. They were going to hit 3 rival drug houses on Christmas Eve when everyone was distracted by family gatherings. It would establish dominance, clear out competition, and make room for expansion. Casualties, one of the lieutenants asked. Whatever it takes, Ghost said. We send a message that this city belongs to us. I excused myself to the bathroom, activated the wire, and returned to the main room. For the next hour, I stood there listening to them plan murder like it was a business strategy. Watching my father nod along like mass violence was a reasonable solution to competition. Jalen was taking notes on his phone, typing everything they said like he was in a business class. They were teaching him the logistics of death, and he was studying like his life depended on it. In a way, it did. Your boy is sharp, Ghost told Dad, nodding at Jalen. Reminds me of myself at that age. He is a natural, Dad said proudly. What about the older one? Ghost looked at me. He seems uncomfortable. Marcus is soft, Dad said. Takes after his mother. Soft can be dangerous. Soft people break, and when they break, they talk. Not Marcus. He knows the code. Everyone knows the code until they are facing 20 to life. Ghost walked over to me, stood close enough that I could smell his cologne mixed with weed smoke. You would not betray your family, would you, Marcus? Never, I lied. Because you know what happens to snitches. Yes, sir. Tell me. Snitches get stitches. And end up in ditches. Good boy. He patted my cheek like I was a dog who had performed a trick. But just to be sure, he pulled out a gun, held it out to me. Take it. I took the gun, my hand shaking. There is a snitch in the trunk of that car outside, he said, pointing to a black sedan. Former associate who talked to the feds. We need him dealt with. Consider it your initiation. Everyone was watching. Dad, Jalen, Ghost's entire crew. This was a test, and failing meant more than just suspicion. It meant death. I cannot, I said. Cannot or will not. Both. Ghost smiled. See, that is the difference between you and your brother. Jalen, come here. My baby brother walked over, trying to look tough, but I could see the fear in his eyes. Would you do it? Ghost asked him. If I asked you to handle a snitch, would you? Jalen looked at Dad, then at me, then at Ghost. Yes, sir. No hesitation? No, sir. Snitches destroy families. They deserve what they get. Smart kid. Ghost took the gun from me, handed it to Jalen. Lucky for you, there is nobody in that trunk. This time. But next time there might be, and you better be ready. Jalen nodded, handed the gun back, and I saw something die in his eyes. Maybe it was innocence. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was the last piece of the kid who wanted to be an engineer. I said the code word 3 times in the next 5 minutes. Man, this is giving me a headache. All this planning is a real headache. I need some aspirin for this headache. But no one came. Either they did not hear, or they were not as close as promised, or they were waiting for more evidence. So I stood there, surrounded by killers, wearing a wire, waiting for salvation that was not coming. The meeting ended around 3 a.m. We drove home in silence, Jalen asleep in the back seat, Dad chain-smoking with the windows up. You embarrassed me tonight, he said. Good. Ghost thinks you are a liability. Ghost is right. You know what that means. Yeah, it means you have to choose between your son and your business. That is not a choice. Business is what feeds my sons. Business is what's going to bury your sons. Not if they are smart. Jalen was ready to kill someone tonight. Your 14-year-old son was ready to commit murder. That is not smart. That is programmed. It is survival. It is sickness. We got home, and I went straight to my room, uploaded the audio from the wire to the cloud account Agent Mitchell had given me. I had enough. More than enough. Christmas Eve was 5 days away. Innocent people were going to die if the DEA did not move fast. The next morning, I met with Agent Mitchell again. We got everything, she said. Clear conspiracy to commit murder, drug trafficking, weapons charges. We are moving tomorrow. Tomorrow. 6 a.m. raid. Multiple locations simultaneously. Your apartment, the warehouse, Ghost's compound, and a dozen other spots. What about me and Jalen? Be ready at 5:45. Open the door for the agents. Get on the ground. Let them do their job. You will be taken into protective custody until we sort everything out. And Ms. Patricia? CPS has already approved her as an emergency foster placement for Jalen. What about long-term? That depends on the courts, but with your father going away and you about to turn 18, there is a good chance you can petition for guardianship. Of my own brother? If you are willing. I was willing. I was more than willing. I would do whatever it took to save Jalen from the life Dad had planned for him. That last night was surreal. Dad cooked dinner for the first time in months, made Mama's spaghetti recipe, the one she used to make for special occasions. We sat at the table like a normal family, talking about normal things. Jalen's basketball team made the playoffs. I got accepted to Wayne State University with a partial scholarship. Dad talked about maybe taking a vacation this summer, going to Cedar Point, riding roller coasters like we used to when Mama was alive. It was all fantasy, a dream of a family we never really were and would never be. But for those few hours, we pretended. We laughed at old stories, remembered better times, acted like tomorrow was not going to destroy everything. I love you boys, Dad said as we cleaned up. Everything I do for you. We know, I said, and I meant it. In his twisted way, he did love us. He just loved the streets more. That night, I could not sleep. I sat by Jalen's bed, watching him sleep, memorizing his face before it learned what I had done. He was going to hate me, maybe forever. But hatred from a living brother was better than love from a dead one. At 5:43 a.m., I heard them coming. Multiple vehicles, trying to be quiet but failing. This was it. No turning back. I woke Jalen. Get dressed. Quick. What is happening? Just do it. Dad was already up, looking out the window. He saw the vehicles, the agents in tactical gear, and he knew. He turned to look at me, and in his eyes, I saw the exact moment he figured it out. You, he said. Me. You called them. I did what I had to do. You killed me. You were already dead. I just made it official. He lunged at me, but the door exploded inward before he could reach me. DA. Everybody down. The next few minutes were chaos. Agents swarming, guns drawn, shouting commands. Dad on the ground, zip-tied, cursing my name. Jalen screaming, crying, not understanding. Me, standing in the middle of it all, the eye of the hurricane I had created. They found everything. The drugs, the guns, the money. Dad had gotten sloppy, keeping too much in the apartment. Or maybe he never thought his own son would betray him. Either way, it was over. As they led Dad out, he stopped in front of me. Your mother would be ashamed of you. No, I said. She would be ashamed of you. I am just cleaning up your mess. You destroyed this family. This family was destroyed the day you chose the streets over your sons. Jalen will never forgive you. Maybe not, but he will be alive to hate me. That is more than you were offering. They took him away, and I never saw him free again. The aftermath was brutal. The entire neighborhood knew within hours that I was the snitch. Some people called me a hero, said I did what needed to be done. Others called me a traitor, said family business should stay family business. I got death threats from Dad's crew. I got thank you cards from mothers whose sons were saved from the violence that never happened on Christmas Eve. Jalen did not speak to me for 3 months. He went to live with Ms. Patricia, went to school, went through the motions, but he was a ghost of himself. The brother who used to laugh at my jokes, who used to ask for help with homework, who used to fall asleep on my shoulder watching movies, was gone. The trial was worse than the arrest. I had to testify against my own father, sit in that witness box and detail every crime, every moment, every piece of evidence I had gathered. Dad sat at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit, looking older than his years, staring at me like I was a stranger. His lawyer tried to paint me as a jealous son, angry about being displaced by my younger brother. The prosecutor painted me as a hero, protecting my family from a monster. I was neither. I was just a scared 18-year-old, trying to save his brother the only way he knew how. Dad got 15 years federal time, eligible for parole and 12 with good behavior. Ghost got life without parole after they connected him to multiple murders. The rest of the crew got various sentences, the neighborhood got a little bit safer, and I got a reputation that would follow me forever. But slowly, things got better. Jalen started talking to me again, first in single words, then sentences, then actual conversations. He started to understand why I did what I did, even if he could not forgive it yet. You took away our father, he said one day. No, I took away a drug dealer who happened to be our father. There is a difference. He was still our dad. Being a dad is more than DNA, Jalen. It is about protection, guidance, love without conditions. What he was doing was not love. It was grooming. For the family business. For an early grave. He started therapy, started processing everything that happened. Started to see how close he had come to a life that would have destroyed him. Started to rebuild himself as Marcus Thompson's brother instead of Terrell Johnson's son. I got a job at a community center, working with at-risk youth. Kids who reminded me of Jalen, of myself, of what we could have become. I told them my story, showed them that there were other ways out besides death or prison. Some listened, some did not. But every kid I reached was a victory, a small redemption for the family I destroyed to save. Ms. Patricia became more than a foster parent to Jalen. She became the grandmother he needed, the stability he craved, the unconditional love that did not come with criminal conditions. She never judged me for what I did, just said, "You did what you thought was right. That is all any of us can do." 3 years have passed now. I am 21, about to graduate from Wayne State with a degree in social work. Jalen is 17, a senior in high school, headed to Michigan State on a full academic scholarship to study engineering. He builds robots that win competitions, designs apps that solve problems, creates instead of destroys. We visit Dad once a month. It is awkward, painful, but necessary. He is different now, smaller somehow, like prison has compressed him into a more compact version of himself. He found religion, or religion found him, and he speaks about redemption and forgiveness like he understands what those words mean now. "I am proud of you," he told me last visit. "For what?" "For being stronger than me. For breaking the cycle. You hate me for it." I did. Maybe part of me still does. But mostly, I am grateful. You saved Jalen. You saved yourself. Hell, you might have saved me too. From what? From becoming a complete monster. Prison stopped me before I hit the point of no return. You were already past that point. No, I was not. Ghost was past that point. I was just trying to provide. By destroying our community. I know that now. But back then, it seemed like the only way. There is always another way. Easy to say when you are not desperate. We are all desperate, Dad. The difference is what we do with that desperation. He nodded, understanding in his eyes that was not there before. Take care of your brother. Always. And yourself. Working on it. The neighborhood has changed since that night. Not completely, not perfectly, but noticeably. Other dealers moved in to fill the vacuum, but none as organized or violent as Ghost's crew. Some kids who would have been recruited are in college instead. Some mothers sleep better knowing their sons are not being groomed for the game. But the cost was high. My family name is Mud in certain circles. There are still people who would hurt me if they could. I cannot go to certain parts of the city, cannot relax in public, cannot pretend that my choice did not have permanent consequences. Yet I would do it again. Every single time. Because Jalen is alive, thriving, becoming the man he was meant to be instead of the criminal he was being trained to be. Because kids in the neighborhood have one less predator recruiting them. Because sometimes doing the right thing means becoming the villain in everyone else's story. People ask me if I regret it. How can I regret saving my brother's life? How can I regret preventing murders? How can I regret choosing justice over loyalty to injustice? The real question is not whether I regret it, but whether I could have done it differently. Could I have saved Jalen without destroying Dad? Could I have stopped the violence without becoming a snitch? Could I have protected my family without tearing it apart? I will never know. We only get to live one version of our choices, and I chose the version where my brother lives, even if it meant our father goes to prison. I chose the version where innocent people do not die on Christmas Eve, even if it meant becoming a pariah. I chose the version where cycles break, even if it meant becoming the break itself. That is what love looks like sometimes. Not soft and gentle, but hard and decisive. Not keeping families together at all costs, but tearing them apart when togetherness means destruction. Not protecting reputations, but protecting lives. My name is Marcus Johnson. At 18, I called the DEA on my father to save my 14-year-old brother from becoming a drug dealer. It cost me everything and gave me everything at the same time. It made me a snitch and a savior, a traitor and a hero, a destroyer and a protector. But most importantly, it made me a brother who chose his brother's future over his father's present. And for that, I have no regrets. Some of you listening might be in similar situations. Watching family members destroy themselves and others. Seeing younger siblings or children being pulled into dangerous lifestyles. Struggling with the choice between family loyalty and moral obligation. Let me tell you something that took me years to understand. Family loyalty that enables destruction is not loyalty at all. It is complicity. Real loyalty means loving someone enough to stop them from destroying themselves and others, even if they hate you for it. The code of the streets says snitches get stitches. But the code of humanity says we protect the innocent, especially when the innocent are our own blood. The streets will never love you for choosing them over your conscience. Your conscience will never forgive you for choosing the streets over your family's future. I lost a father, but saved a brother. I lost a family name, but gained a clear conscience. I lost my neighborhood's respect, but gained my self-respect. These trades were not easy, but they were necessary. If you are facing this choice, know that there is no perfect option. Someone will get hurt either way. The question is whether you want to hurt the guilty to save the innocent, or let the innocent suffer to protect the guilty. For me, that was not really a choice at all. There are more stories like mine, guys who refused to stay silent, who broke the cycle instead of repeating it. 2 of them are right here on your screen. Click the one that speaks to your own fight. And if you want to walk with a community that knows sometimes saving your family means stopping them, tap the bell. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.